You ever watch your mom's tire get shredded by a spike strip in your own driveway and think, "Yup, this is war"? That's where I was at. One second, I'm stepping out with a plate of wings, ready for a chill Sunday. The next, mom's clutching the steering wheel like she's seen a poltergeist, her car tilted like it hit a landmine which, honestly, wasn't far off. Right there at the edge of the driveway was a rusted metal spike strip, bolted into the gravel like it belonged in a war zone, not a quiet suburban cul-de-sac. And standing a few feet away, arms crossed, sporting a smug little smirk, was Linduer, as she insisted, Patricia, our new neighbor, clipboard warrior, and self-appointed enforcer of neighborhood rules. She didn't say a word, just watched like she'd nailed a performance. That's when I knew this wasn't about a patch of gravel. This was personal. What Patricia didn't know what made this downright wild was that the governor's motorcade was set to roll over that exact driveway in 10 days. Yup, that governor. It was part of a low-key, off-the-record veterans ceremony hosted in my backyard. I'd been asked to keep it hush-hush, no press, no fanfare, just a meaningful visit for local folks who'd served. But now, that strip of gravel was a booby trap, and Patricia was about to find out what happens when HOA drama turns into a state security fiasco. Let me rewind. Before Patricia moved in, the house next door sat empty for years. The old owner used it as a weekend retreat, showed up twice a year, gave a wave, and that was it. The driveway between our houses was widened ages ago, shared space. No clear line, just mutual respect. Never an issue. Then Patricia arrived with a tight smile and a stack of flyers titled Guidelines for a Respectful Community. You know the type. Folks chuckled, some ignored her, but me? I became her target. She didn't like that I let delivery trucks pull into the driveway or that mom parked close when she visited. Her response? Red spray paint across my gravel, a typed warning letter, and a 10-minute rant about encroachment zones and liability risks. I'm not kidding, she used those terms. I tried reasoning, explained the setup had worked for years, that mom was older and couldn't walk far. Patricia wasn't having it. Slammed her door, tipped over her own flower pot, and that was that. Things escalated fast. Packages vanished. My sprinklers mysteriously died one day. My shovel disappeared, then reappeared in her yard, painted gray with private stenciled on it. I didn't want a feud, but she was begging for one. Then came the drone fiasco. I fly a small drone every spring to check my roof standard stuff. Patricia saw it, screamed about airspace violations, and called the cops. The deputy who showed up just sighed. "Ma'am, this isn't a no-fly zone." She called it harassment. I called it Tuesday. But the spike strip? That was the line. Mom pulled in for lunch, same as always. 5 seconds later, bam, tear gone, rim sparking, gravel flying. I ran to her, helped her out. She was rattled, but okay. Patricia just stood on her porch, watching like it was her personal reality show. When I confronted her, she shrugged and said, maybe if people stayed on their side, their cars wouldn't get hurt. She said it with a straight face. Cops came, saw the spike strip, and one muttered, "Who does this?" But since the strip was technically on the fuzzy property line and the survey maps were ancient, they called it a civil matter and left. That's when I stopped reacting and started plotting. I pulled my security cam footage, nighttime, grainy, but unmistakable. There was Patricia, in gloves and a hoodie, kneeling with a drill and flashlight, bolting spikes into the gravel like she was in a heist flick. I backed up the files, sent them to a lawyer friend, and called in a favor. Turns out, a college buddy of mine is now on the governor's state trooper security team. I barely had to explain. He already knew my address. Funny timing, he said. You're hosting that veterans event next week, right? I paused. Wait, that's still on. He laughed. Oh yeah, your backyard's cleared. Governor's schedule's locked. Convoys coming right down your drive. It clicked. Patricia thought she owned a gravel strip. Instead, she'd sabotaged a governor's motorcade path. I didn't tell her a thing. Just added more cameras, marked the spike area with subtle flags, and tipped off my buddy on the security detail. But Patricia? She doubled down. Set up orange cones with restricted access signs, posted in the HOA group chat about repeat trespassers, taped fake notices to doors, even tried snooping in backyards for compliance checks. That stopped when Mr. Jenkins, a Vietnam vet 2 doors down, caught her measuring his gait with a clipboard and nearly chased her off with a garden hose. By then, the whole block was fed up. At the next HOA meeting, Patricia stormed in, dressed like a librarian with a vendetta, waving a folder labeled Community Enhancement Plan. She tried appointing herself standards overseer and pitched rules like mandatory lawn mowing schedules and mailbox color codes. When she accused me of property boundary violations, I plugged in a USB drive and played the footage. Her, crouching in the dark, drilling spikes into the gravel. Dead silence. One board member whispered, "Is this for real?" Even the HOA chair, who hadn't spoken since last year, muttered, "Good Lord." Patricia froze, stammered about defensive measures. Nobody bought it. They banned her from future meetings on the spot. But the real show wasn't even that. The day the governor arrived, everything was perfect, flags up, chairs set, coffee brewing. I was in the garage, pretending to sort tools. Patricia peeked through her blinds like she was scouting an invasion. The first black SUV rolled in slow, then the second. The third hit the gravel pop. Loud and clear. The motorcade stopped. Agents jumped out, flashlights, radios, perimeter locked down. Patricia strolled out, acting like she was offering sweet tea, and asked if they needed help. One agent asked if she lived next door. She nodded, smiling, and said, "Yes, I oversee that gravel strip." That was it. I walked over, held up my tablet, and played the video again. Patricia, gloves on, drill whirring, setting spikes like a cartoon villain. The agents didn't speak, just took the tablet to the lead vehicle. The governor stepped out a minute later, calm but clearly annoyed. Shook my hand, thanked me for hosting, and said, "We'll take care of this." Patricia tried explaining, but an agent just said, "Ma'am, stay here." The ceremony went on, a bit delayed but beautiful. Veterans honored, speeches delivered, neighborhood united. Patricia didn't show her face again that day. A week later, a local reporter posted a video syncing Patricia's voice, the spike trap, and the motorcade halt. It went viral. Online, they called her the Gravel Empress. Someone remixed her "I oversee the gravel" line into a techno track. True story. She vanished soon after. Some say she moved to Nevada. Others swear she's in a Wi-Fi-less cabin somewhere. I don't care. We paved the gravel, added a small plaque. No spikes beyond this point. Half joke, half promise. So, tell me, if your neighbor turned your driveway into a trap and stopped a state motorcade, what would you do? Forgive them, sue, or sip coffee and let karma roll? Drop a comment. I want to hear how you'd handle it. Because sometimes, community isn't about lines or signs, it's about knowing when to keep receipts and when to hit play.